Now, the purpose of what we're doing today, guys, is to show the public. It's to raise awareness in the public eye of what's really going on with our justice systems, okay? And we're starting here at Pearse Street Garda Station. We're serving a couple of notices on them. The asseverations. Now, the asseverations we're serving on them, I won't go into detail other than to tell you these are the asseverations on the Integrity Ireland website. They're to do with the obligation on members of An Garda Síochána to investigate crime, all of the rules and regulations that they must abide by, their Garda Code of Ethics, etc., etc. Now, you can look up the details. The long form of the asseveration is about 4 pages or 3 pages, and there's a short form. Now, I'm just serving them on the guards. It's a symbolic gesture, but so they can't say, this is the largest Garda station in Dublin, they can't say they didn't get these. Now, they've already been served on the Garda Commissioner. The other thing we're serving is this notice, which is a respectful advisory to members of An Garda Síochána regarding the respective statutory obligations in the event of a citizen's arrest. We all have the power, in certain circumstances, to walk up to anybody resident in this country and lift them for, place them under citizen's arrest. You can either do it by putting your hand on their shoulder, which is not an assault in those occasions, but be careful of this, or you tell them verbally and you invite them to surrender themselves into the custody of An Garda Síochána, which you all saw back on the 7th of December when we arrested guards on our property for trespass and intimidation. Now, that's one of the other reasons why we're here today, because I received a letter from An Garda Síochána, and I'll tell you a little bit more about this when we get to GSOC offices. I got a letter from An Garda Síochána directing me to be in Claremorris Garda Station today with my wife, who you all know is in the emergency room at Beaumont Hospital undergoing recovery from brain surgery. Now, I'm saying this, I don't know for a fact, but I strongly suspect that the person behind these directions knew this fact, and it was designed to cause additional stress and anxiety. Obviously she couldn't be there today. Yeah. So anyway, I've served notice on the Garda Commissioner this morning that this letter had arrived. The letter proves that the superintendent down in Mayo is complicit in a conspiracy to pervert justice. Because of that, I cannot engage with him. Because if I do, I'm engaging with the conspiracy. Okay, and I've now reported it to GSOC, and one of the things we'll be doing today will be handing in that letter to GSOC. So today, guys, just so you know, here at Pearse Street Garda Station, we're also putting them on alert about the involvement of the Irish Times in this conspiracy. And I'm asking them now here today, will they accept a criminal complaint about their court reporter who has now been promoted, the legal affairs correspondent at the Irish Times, for conspiring with the High Court, elements of the High Court, to pervert justice. This is, it's an advisory about the citizens' arrest powers and the obligations on citizens and guards. You know, it's the Criminal Law Act. I've served it on the Garda Commission already some time back, but it's just to say, you guys have got it. These are 2 asseverations, short forms, which explain the obligations, again, respectfully, on the Garda Síochána to investigate crime. He gave me the information I asked for, okay? They're on standby to take the criminal complaint if we come back to them later, all right? We'll see what happens over at the Irish Times. We've got an original email address, which have all been disappeared off the internet. You go and try and find them, guys, all right? So we've got an email address direct to these guys, and and they accepted the documents. So everybody now knows that the largest Garda station in Dublin has been served with the asseverations about the obligations on Gardaí to investigate crime, okay, and you look them up yourself, and the asseveration number 020, which is all to do with the COVID regulations, all right, and how, basically we established that it's fraudulent, the legislation is fraudulent, and everything that's based on it is not lawful, okay? So the people that are trying to enforce it, that know about this, which now includes the largest Garda station in Dublin, okay, all right, cannot do so. From here now, guys, we're going to take a nice gentle stroll around the corner to the Irish Times. They know we're coming. We're going to ask for the court reporter, Mary Carolan, who has now been promoted to being the legal affairs correspondent. Danny, my official bodyguard, right?
Yeah, yes.
And we're going to go in and explain to the Irish Times security guys, they've got nothing to worry about. Isn't that right, Danny?
Yes.
We're nice guys, aren't we?
Yes.
Yes, we are. Okay. So in May this year, a report went out on the 18th of May. The report stated that my court case had been shut down, that I was abusing due process and I was a very naughty boy, and the judge had quite rightly shut my case down and told me to go and sling my hook, right? The trouble is, number one, no one told me about that hearing. Number two, it was held completely illicitly against a whole range of High Court, Superior Court rules. And number three, we later discovered it never even happened at all. So you now have the Irish Times court reporter who should have known straight away, how can we be in a hearing shutting down a judicial review and the plaintiff isn't even here? He hasn't been told about it. Yeah, that was the first question. Second question, how is she reporting on an event as if it was first-hand, which never actually happened? It never happened. Now, how we know this, I don't want to give too much away, but let's just say an insider source has confirmed on the record that Judge McGrath was not in the High Court that day. He wasn't there. Whatever happened, it was fabricated behind the scenes, given to the newspaper and said, print it. And now they're going on that article, not on the documents, because the documents still don't exist. You understand, guys, don't you? When there's a court hearing, documents issue, orders, judgments, all that, right? They've got them written out on the court service database, but they actually don't exist. Because if they give them to me, I can sue the Irish Times for conspiracy. So they've locked themselves and trapped themselves in this vicious circle where they just hope they were all going to shut up and go away. We're here to speak to Mary Carolan. She's now the legal affairs correspondent. Is there any chance you could bell her and say that Stephen Manning...
There's no staff in the building.
There's no staff in the building? Okay, all right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Is there any of the members of the board of directors here or the trust?
There's none on site at all. Nobody.
Okay then, and do you mind me asking, just your first name will do, just so that I know who I'm going to give this notice to?
I'm just a security officer in the
That's fine, but just a first name.
I don't give my name.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to serve this notice. So you're telling me, number one, there's no staff in the building. Number two, you're a security guard, but you're not allowed, or you choose not to identify yourself.
I'm not giving my name out. I don't have to give you my name.
Have you got a number then, like a badge number or staff number?
Plus, that's my company who I work for.
Okay, all right.
I'm not Irish Times staff.
Yeah, no, it's all right. It's all right. See, what we do is we document everything, affidavits and all that, and I have to be able to say I met two. And are you at the same company, sir? Yeah, okay. Yeah, same company? Yeah, great. It's great. So we met the two guards. We're now going to just do a little thing on the megaphones here. I'm going to give you a notice, which I'm asking you to deliver, or at least hold, for Mary Carolan, who is the... Here we go. And it's a notice of submission of a criminal complaint. So they accepted the notice, which is going to their court reporter, who has now been elevated to the position of legal affairs correspondent. Think about it. The legal affairs correspondent for the Irish Times, a very prestigious position. And I'm saying that her integrity is highly suspect, okay? Whatever her excuses for publishing that article, they certainly know now for 8 months. There are no documents to back it up, and they still haven't retracted the article, which is what I've asked them to do, okay? I have contacted their legal firm as well, the usual palaver, clever, contrived letters, trying to intimidate us to drop any threats. But I'm waiting to sue the Irish Times as soon as they give me the documents out of the High Court, which is what we'll be doing later, okay, going up to look for those as well, which they're sitting on pretending they exist, but there are actually no stamped, attested copies in existence because they can't give them to me because it's proof that the High Court colluded with the Irish Times to conspire against our interests. Okay, the Irish Times has been colluding with the High Court to put false articles into the newspapers that you are paying for. We're pretty sure that the board of directors is aware of what's going on, but they're choosing not to do anything about it. That board of directors comprises Dan Flinter, chairman, John Hegarty, Catriona Murphy, Claire Durgam, Shay Gaveney, Paul O'Neill, Peter McLoone, Terence O'Rourke, Rona Murphy, Liam Kavanagh, and Deirdre Veldon. And if you people aren't aware of what's going on, I would advise you to get in touch with your legal team, because we are coming after you for this conspiracy that you've been engaging with up in the High Court through your reporter, Mary Carolyn. And somewhat ironically, the Irish Times is not a business per se, it is run by a trust. So these are the members of the trust. John Hegarty, chairman of the board of the Irish Times Trust. Catriona Murphy, governor. Barry Smith, governor. Catherine Day, governor. Marguerite Sayers, governor. Peter McLoone, governor. Conor Houston, governor. Joanne Stewart, governor. And Edmund Harty. And again, it's just to put those names on the record. I hope you all get to hear your names being broadcast like this. We don't know the inside goings on in the Irish Times, but we are asking you now to look into this matter, because now that you've been publicly notified, you too will be named in the lawsuit as soon as we get a hold of the documents that are still missing from the High Court records 8 months later. Thank you. Yeah, so we're just on our way now to towards GSOC offices. We have just come from the Irish Times. Now, the reason all of these things are linked is because all of these different agencies of the state are effectively covering for each other and then using the mainstream media, when necessary, to project lies out to the public so that you're fooled, the public are fooled into thinking that we have a fourth estate, which is the mainstream media. The fourth estate is supposed to be there to make sure that the government doesn't get away with any nonsense. But in fact, they're embroiled with them. They're actually in cahoots with them. So we're now going to GSOC because we've lodged many formal complaints of wrongdoing, malfeasance and such like by members of Garda Síochána, especially in the courts. Now, I'm going to tell you a few facts before we engage with them here today, all right? They were put on notice that we were coming. I basically said to them, we have been trying to communicate with you since early December. Now, bear in mind, they gave me a deadline to get information into them about crimes I'm alleging against members of Garda Síochána, who are acting under the instructions of corrupt judges. All right? So it's this whole network, right? And the argument, of course, is that if the guards know that the instructions they're being given are unlawful, they shouldn't be doing it. They've got to have some integrity. They've got, and their job provides the protections for them to do this, all right? But you find individuals go, sure, I can't, and I don't want to go, I don't want to go against the instructions of a judge. Well, if they're unlawful, you have to. So anyway, the point to be made here is that they have been stonewalling me also. All I've asked them to do is acknowledge receipt of our affidavits, of our videos, of our recordings, of our statements. Watch your back there. You'll get run over.
Just basically do their job.
Yeah, well, just acknowledge, literally. I mean, emails coming into them, will you please acknowledge receipt? And will you put a name on the acknowledgement? Because on the few occasions we do get responses, either from GSOC or the courts, places like that, they don't put a name on it. And you're left there, and everybody can deny. Oh, well, I don't know what you're talking about. It wasn't me that dealt with it. I don't know who it was. Or to quote O'Neill up in the courts, the previous senior registrar, when we came to him a few years ago and said, look, nobody will identify themselves. And his answer to us was, it's good enough that I know who they are. You don't need to know. Now, that's the court service, okay? So back here to GSOC. A couple of just very simple facts, guys. You know that GSOC was set up in 2008 to replace the Garda Complaints Board. Do you remember this, right? The problem being that the Garda Complaints Board was run by the guards. And we weren't getting a lot of results when people were making complaints. And then you had the whole, the circus up in Donegal with the McBreartys and the Shorts and all that, with the guards planting bombs, for God's sake, and then going arresting people for it. This is just crazy stuff. So they set up the Garda Ombudsman Commission. Now, the person who was the CEO of the Garda Complaints Board was a man called Anthony Duggan. All right? You'll hear his name again later today when I read out a list of names of people who have obstructed justice in this institution. Anthony Duggan was the CEO of the Garda Complaints Board. When it became the Garda Ombudsman, they appointed 3 figureheads as the Ombudsman Commission. Anthony Duggan stayed on as the head of administration here for years. So nothing actually changed except you had 3 figureheads. One of them was an editor, a previous editor of the Irish Times, with their suit and tie, smiling there with Bertie Ahern. Everything's changed, folks. No, it hasn't. Now, I think they have 90 staff in here. Wow. 90, okay? Now, you ask yourself, holy God, how many, we got a wave, he gave us a salute. How many complaints there must be? Well, if you have an urge to find out, go and look at their documentation. Every year they do a report. And you'll notice that about 2/3 of the report concerns itself with the public perception of what they're doing, not actually what they're doing. Now, so the first thing you need to know is that all of the investigators, right, you think 90 staff working in here, we take a complaint to them, and these case officers go out and robustly investigate the guards, and naughty boys, you cannot do naughty stuff. But they don't. They just sit up here at their desks. They go to the Garda Commissioner, and the Garda Commissioner assigns either a serving or a retired Garda to do the investigation. If you're the complainant, the only thing you see is a man arriving on your doorstep or a woman dressed in civilian clothes. You're not to know that that person is a serving guard or a retired guard. They then reroute all of the communication through these offices to make you think you're dealing with the Garda Ombudsman Commission. At the end of it all, if the guard is found guilty of an offence, you think it's these guys that punish them? No. It's the Garda Commissioner who has the unilateral choice or decision to make what happens to the guards who are found guilty. Do you understand, guys? It's all an incestuous inner circle, and that's why this place has evolved. They've evolved mechanisms that are punitive, they are obstructive, and they don't tell you this, but they're designed to protect the establishment at all costs, like everything that we're doing today. That's the one constant in all of these things. And we have to learn, guys, to take back our power. So what we're here today, I'm here today to see a lady called Carla Fletcher, all right? Who's Carla Fletcher? Well, she's the lady that responded to me when I asked who's responding to me. I got her name. Carla Fletcher, GSOC case officer. You've got 15 days to get your information into us. If you don't get it in 15 days, we're shutting this complaint down. And it's about the incident out at our house where I had to arrest 2 guards for trespass and intimidation and so on, right? After that, I've sent her information. Can you please acknowledge, Carla, that you've received this? Silence. Not even a generic, we got it. Nothing, right? And this, now I'll say now maybe as many as a dozen follow-up emails, requests. And in the end I said, sick and tired of this. If you don't respond to me, we're going to turn up at your offices in numbers. We're sick and tired of being given the runaround, because you know what they did, guys? They took my statement that I had sent in here, the complaint statement against the guards, which we're going to serve on the High Court later, because they're refusing to accept it up there, trying to anyway. It's an affidavit, the complaint statement. These guys sent it back to the guards I was complaining about, and the superintendent up in Mayo then composed a letter ordering me to be in the Garda station today, under caution, right? He's not accepting that it was a legitimate citizen's arrest. I said, I don't care whether you accept it or not. It was, because it's there in black and white in the legislation. They've trapped themselves. So I'm now here making a complaint against the superintendent in Mayo for conspiracy to pervert justice with whom? These guys.
Good afternoon, how can I help?
Oh, good afternoon. Yes, I've got a complaint statement that I need to hand in, please, and I'd like to speak to Case Officer Carla Fletcher in person, please. We did send in notice that we were coming. Hello? Hello? Hey guys, these tactics are becoming a little bit...
I do beg your pardon. Yes. I'm sorry. Regrettably, you won't be in a position to speak with Carla today. I can take your statement from you and sent to the appropriate department.
I mean, there is a phone, I take it there. You can pick up the phone and you can say that Dr. Manning is respectfully insisting on his right to have a face-to-face meeting with his case officer, whom he has put on alert now, maybe, I don't know, half a dozen times over the last month or two, that I needed to directly talk to her. So is that okay, Peter? Even, listen, we don't have to have a beef with you, Peter, but all I'm asking you to do is pick up the phone, dial her number, pass on that message and confirm you've done so. If she chooses not to come down at that point, that's fine. We just want it on the record and not any of this, you know, you're not in a position to do this and not in a position to do that. I mean, I trust you work for GSOC. Is that correct, Peter?
Correct, yes. If you give me a moment, please.
Thanks, Peter.
I'll get back to you just in a second.
Thank you.
Now, good afternoon.
Yes, Peter. Yes, Peter.
Yes. Well, as it happens, I've checked to see if Carla were in, and in fact she isn't, but if she were, I'm sorry, you still wouldn't be seeing her anyway. Once again, I can just offer you to take your contact details and send them upstairs and have somebody get in touch with you with regards to the face-to-face.
Are you going to open the door and let us bring in these papers, please, Peter?
No, I'm sorry, I simply can't.
They are such a pristine investigative body, right? All I'm going to do is leave a copy of this letter, which is the letter I got from the Superintendent of County Mayo. No doubt they'll want me to go through this line by line and explain to them what's unlawful with it and so on. They're the investigators, let them work it out. This is proof. This is proof of a criminal conspiracy between the Garda Superintendent in Mayo and these gurriers in here who passed them my complaint documents in order to alert them to the way I was going. And they're that's right. And they're trying now to jump ahead. And the guards are trying to come after me before GSOC does the investigation about what they were doing. That's the way they work. Yeah, Peter, I'm putting this through the door, and if you make sure it gets in the hand of Carla Fletcher, thank you. The Garda Síochána Ombudsman Commission has 90 members of staff in here. You are paying some 30 or 40 million a year to staff and fund them. And what they're here to do is to cover up criminality in the system, not to help you hold errant Gardaí to account. Some of the people involved in this process are James Morton, case officer, Kevin Dillon, case officer, Ken Fagan, case officer, Anthony Duggan, previous head of the Garda Complaints Board and the head of administration at GSOC for many years, Brian Doherty, case officer, Carmel Foley, commissioner, Deborah Hart, case officer, Deirdre Myrna, case officer, Louise Miller, case officer, Noreen Lambert, case officer, Pamela Howard, senior case officer, Paul Hanna, one of the very worst and someone I tried to prosecute. That prosecution was suppressed by the courts. Paula Coffey, case officer, Shane White, case officer, and Deirdre Greer, case officer. Now, these are just a few that we've dealt with, but we have scores of complaints by members of the public that every time they come to make a complaint at GSOC offices, all they get is the runaround, and at the end of the day, it's guards investigating guards, running the correspondence through these people in this building, and then everything goes back to the Garda Commissioner, whether or not he spanks their little bottoms or not, yeah, which is about the worst they could expect to happen. We're now going to take a pleasant stroll up to the Bridewell Garda station, where we're going to check on the status of existing complaints, which again seem to have disappeared into the foggy mist. And from there, we're going round to the forecourt to serve documents directly on a High Court judge, whether he likes it or not. We just happen to be walking on our way to the Bridewell into the courts, and we pass, here he is, we pass Mr. Colin Daly, okay.
He's running.
No, he's not. Come on, yeah, I'll tell you what. This guy is one of the worst. He's one of the worst. He was the president of the district courts. He ran out on me. Yep. Circuit Court Judge Colin Daly. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's our friend Mick. He's all right. You see that? Yeah? Yeah. Well, no, basically, Colin Daly, as the president of the district courts, he oversaw a hearing. We went in and we were lodging common informer prosecutions. He took them over, and there were prosecutions against members of the establishment, the DPP's office, errant judges, and so on. He sat me in the witness box, made me swear under an oath to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And then he got up, walked out to lunch, came back, didn't ask me a single question, and threw all the cases out without any justification. Then he ran out of his court. I lodged a criminal application against him, which is still sitting up in the CCJ and has not been activated upon. How are you, Mick? Yeah, I'm sure we're not going to have any problems at all with Mick. But you see, guys, this was just fortuitous that this man happened to be here. He is literally one of the worst. This is how people get promoted. Yeah, they do the dirty on the public. They show that they're willing to act corruptly, unlawfully, and he's a judge. You know, and what happens? He gets promoted. He gets made the president of the district courts, you know, and then he gets promoted to be a circuit court judge. So, as you can see now, the guard here, Tom, who I know from before, another gentleman, you know, as far as the guards go, he understands why we're coming in here today. He's already told me briefly, but I'll get the full story now. He's told us briefly that the case that we lodged here before about criminality up here has gone to the DPP's office. So they've got some answer for us. All right, guys? Now, it's a shame we have to go to these lengths, you know, to get the answers, you know, but at least everybody out there that's watching this, all you got to do is have the courage, try your best to be polite, try to maintain your own dignity and integrity, but insist upon your rights. There's an old saying that says, a funny thing happens if you always insist on the very best. Sometimes you'll actually get it. Yeah. So our friends here, guys, are escorting us into the courts to make sure that nothing unlawful is done to us on the way in. Thanks, guys. And it's a simple, now all we're doing, guys, just so it's really, really clear, this is really simple. All we're doing now is we're going to gain entry through security. We're not going to the central office because that's proven to be pointless and fruitless, and there's a risk of a confrontation because the staff in there have been told not to serve me. Now, that's unlawful, but that's what they've been told. And when we send stuff in by post, it gets put in envelopes and sent back to us without being processed. So what we're doing is calling the bluff here. We're going to go straight into any High Court judge that is sitting. I've got 2 envelopes. Danny's got them here. And I'm giving them to the judge. And I'm saying, Judge, you have been served. Please ensure that these get to the central office and the CEO of the court service. And then we turn around and walk away. That's simply all we're doing. So we've just come out of the 4 courts, the High Court, and we had made it clear, and we had a couple of guards come with us. They were very respectful and cordial. A couple of guards came with us to make sure that everything went peacefully. We told them there was nothing to worry about. Anyway, there are 3 or 4 High Court judges sitting here, and we were told that a Garda inspector was trying to find a judge who would take our documents from us. Now, just so that everybody understands, all I want to do was serve 2 main documents. One is an affidavit, which the central office and agents of the court service are refusing to file, they're refusing to accept. I've sent in other documents as well, they've been sent back to me in the post. It's totally ridiculous, guys. It means that we don't have access to justice. So, as we've said many, many times, we've got to stop asking for permission. And this is what just happened here. We came in, everybody was in good spirits, everybody was cordial, and we were told, oh, we're having difficulty finding a judge, and there's cases going on and everything. And I said, sorry guys, you don't seem to understand. We're sick and tired of asking and waiting and trying to follow the rules and the regulations in order to get somebody to deign to deal with us. We're here to serve these documents. Ideally, they should have gone straight into the central office. But why would I go down to the central office with the way we've been treated in the past? Where I've got people in there who've got criminal charges launched against them for suppressing documents, for forging documents, for changing dates and times on the database and this sort of stuff. Why would I deal with it? So we served the papers here on the judge, who's the new judge to me. He handled it well, I thought. It only took a couple of minutes. We just walked straight into the court. He stopped proceedings as he saw that I was approaching the front. He stopped proceedings in just a minute. He looked over and I said, "Thank you, Judge. Sorry to interrupt the court. I'd like to leave these documents here. They are now respectfully being served on you, and I would ask, please, that you make sure that they get to the locations where they need to get to." And then, and he smiled. He seemed to be okay with it. We turned around, we walked out, and as we walked out, I said, "Apologies to the people that were in the case. Please excuse us, but this is the only way that we can get things done anymore." Now, just to wrap up today's proceedings, guys, we're just going to go back down and collect my bodyguard, Danny, okay? And then I've got a list of named judges that we're going to call out on the megaphone before calling it a day. And this is to advise anybody who wants to hear, and also everybody out there watching in the public realm, all of the judges that we're going to name have committed definitive criminal offences while sitting as judges, and there is no accountability, zero, no matter how we try to deal with it. All of these judges have committed definitive criminal acts while serving as judges. Most of it is to do with the perversion and the corruption of justice, whereby they know what they're doing is unlawful, they still continue to do it, and most of the time it is all geared to protect the establishment. And this is the one big lesson we all need to learn, guys, is that the cabal will protect its own interests. The government is not there to serve the interests of the public. It's there to serve its own interests and the interests of the members of the political parties, the judiciary, the moneyed controllers, the media, and so on. All right, so here are the names. Starting at the district court. James O'Donoghue. Shame. Kevin Kilrain. Shame. James Fognan.
Shame.
Alan Mitchell.
Shame.
Mary Devons.
Shame.
Miriam Walsh.
Shame.
Miriam Malone.
Shame.
Brian Smith.
Shame.
John Lindsay.
Shame.
Gerard Horton.
Shame.
Conal Gibbons.
Shame.
Enos McCarthy.
Shame.
Catherine Hutton.
Shame.
David Waters.
Shame.
Deirdre Gearty.
Shame.
Fiona Lydon.
Shame.
And Colin Daly,
Shame.
that we saw recently. Oh, and one more, guys. Cephas Power, another new district court judge. All right. Circuit Court. Raymond Groark.
Shame.
Rory McCabe.
Shame.
Sean O'Donovan.
Shame.
Karen Fergus.
Shame.
Margaret Hinnigan.
Shame.
High Court. Jarlath O'Neill.
Shame.
Sean Ryan.
Shame.
Nicholas Kearns.
Shame.
Paul Gilligan.
Shame.
Seamus Noonan.
Shame.
Richard Humphreys.
Shame.
Donald Binchy.
Shame.
Michael McGrath.
Shame.
Charles Meenan.
Shame.
And Shannon Allen.
Shame.
Court of Appeal President George Birmingham.
Shame.
And finally, the three present and past Chief Justices of Ireland. Donald O'Donnell,
Shame.
Susan Denham,
Shame.
and Frank Clark.
Shame.
Now, I'm making this statement, guys. You've heard me all. I've said it in public, right? If anything that I have said or alleged is not true, these judges should feel at liberty to come after me and prosecute me or accuse me of libel or slander or anything like that, and we will open up Pandora's box and we'll show the public what they've been up to. Don't forget, guys, we're the ones funding this all. It's got to stop. And as we work our way through this COVID crisis and all of the tyrannies that are being visited on us in the name of a health crisis, you'll start to understand that we have a cabal, we have a hierarchy here, a hypocritical hierarchy, not just here in the courts, but it's in all of the institutions across the globe. We are actually living in a global corporation and we don't even know it. We are just units of measurement. If we're not producing for them, they will discard us, they will dispose of us. We have got to get our heads around this. And the book there, if I could just hold that up for a second. This book, guys, if I could plug it one more time. If you can get a hold of this book, please read it. It's not just about the current crisis. It's also about how systemic human evil has become industrialized and systemised in the institutions that we all take for granted. Society in future will have to be different. We have to start thinking about it now, or else there is no future for our children, folks. Thanks everybody for turning up today. Well done, guys. Thank you.